Hey guys, welcome to the Insurance Marketing Brain Dump Podcast. My name is Keagan with BriteBee.com, where we help insurance agents be found online. And today I'm here with Rob with Chisel, Ron with Chisel. I said it wrong, Ron with Chisel. I'll definitely get that right. And unfortunately, our co-host Chris Paradiso is not here. We are at the ITC Insurtech Connect Conference and having a blast here. But Ron, I want you to tell us a little bit more about Chisel, what you guys do, and we'll go from there.
So thank you, first of all, for having me.
Yeah.
My name is Ron Glozman, and I'm the CEO and founder of Chisel AI. Chisel AI is an AI vendor specializing in natural language processing, which means we teach computers how to read. Our specific focus area is in the insurance space, even more specifically in commercial P&C insurance, where we help both brokers and carriers become more efficient in the underwriting process through a variety of solutions. Our two main ones are one that's called Policy Check. It's to help reduce errors and omissions. And the other one is a submission intake solution to help carriers underwrite more business and be smarter and more selective about their book of business so that they can control their loss ratio.
All right, so it sounds like you've said that just a couple of times.
Just maybe a handful today.
Yeah, right. So we like to talk a little bit about marketing, and one thing I want to talk to you about is your messaging. So this is, I mean, you're a smart guy. Okay, we know that. I've heard all the good stories, success stories about you, and you've had to kind of, not saying that we're dumb here, but we've had to dumb it down sometimes, right? So you can actually get this on the technology onto people's level, help them understand what you actually do. So one thing I want to understand further is, how does this help the insurance agent and the broker become more profitable? How does it, we talk about marketing, like how does this give them more marketing dollars so that they can actually reach more customers? Tell us a little bit about that. How does it free the agent?
Yeah, so one of the analogies that I like to think of, especially when we talk about the Policy Check solution, is a car salesman. In the sense that when you go onto a dealership, let's say you walk in at 9 a.m., you'll test drive the car, you'll negotiate a deal with, in this case, basically a broker, since dealership are brokerage models, and you drive the car off the lot at noon. What happens is the car salesman then goes into the back office and starts filling in paperwork. There's going to be government paperwork at the state level, at the federal level, internal to the company. There's going to be sales records so that he can get his bonus and commission. So he spends the other half of his day filling in paperwork on something he's already sold, and he's not generating any additional new business. The same thing happens with a policy check. You've gone out there as the broker, you've got the client, you've got them the coverage they needed, and once the policy is issued, typically about 90 days after, you get the policy wording, you compare that against the binder. On average, we find our clients spend 2 to 4 hours per policy checking it. That's 2 to 4 hours that they could be spending back out there soliciting new business or providing a better brokering experience to the policyholders by spending more time with them.
Right.
And so it's two things. It's one of them is it's freeing up the broker to spend more time with the client, and two, allowing them to actually sell more policies, which at the end of the day increases gross written premium, gives them more money either for marketing or for profit dollars.
All right, so I'm going to get into something else, but first off, tell us what type of agents are you looking for? What type of brokers are you looking for? Is everyone a good fit, or who isn't a good fit?
Yep. Typically, it's going to be independent agencies. Okay. Captive agents typically only issue one type of policy, so the policy check process is a little bit easier to standardize. So typically independent agencies. Traditionally, the ones that we see are some of the bigger agencies, and that's because they have sort of a budget line item today that's easy for them to attribute a cost to. Some of the smaller brokerages that we talk to or agencies, for them it's either a process that they don't do today, it's something that they'll probably like to explore, but it's hard for them to find the budget in an existing line item.
Sure.
And so most agencies we work with today are typically more than 100 agents, just sort of as a metric.
Sure. Okay. Great. All right. So I want to go away from the inner workings of Chisel. I want to go more towards how you started and just maybe some struggles along the way in your marketing and your branding, your messaging. I would love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So I started working on the company 5.5 years ago. I was a student studying computer science and business at the University of Waterloo up in Canada. And I said to myself, how do I spend more time playing video games and less time going to class?
Yeah.
Which my parents would love to hear, I'm sure.
They would love this right now.
And so I did that. I basically taught a computer to read textbooks where you would get back 1 page per chapter. And it's like a Coles Notes, Spark Notes, but on demand.
Okay.
Long story
I could
short.
definitely use that in many situations.
Yep. And so a lot of people could use that. They wanted to use that. And so in 2 weeks, it was viral. It was in 33 countries, 44 Ivy League schools in the world. Princeton, Stanford, Harvard, Yale, Russia, China, India, Brazil, Netherlands, Switzerland, Portugal, France. Like, it's there.
Wow.
And it goes on to be named one of the best 50 apps for students of all time.
Wow.
So clearly a big success. But students don't have a lot of discretionary income. And actually, to your sort of adjacent question is the marketing. So at the time we were called Note.
Note.
K-N-O-T-E.
Oh, okay.
And that was a difficult name because we got Keynote, Keynote,
Yep.
Connote,
Yep.
Note, Note. You wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, everything.
And so in 2015, after about 2.5 years of this student app, I was invited to speak on a panel about natural language processing, which is the core technology we work on. And an audience member happened to be listening to my presentation. After I get off stage, an email comes in and says, hey, I know you guys are not in insurance, but I think insurance could benefit from this greatly.
Wow.
And that VP happened to be at one of the biggest brokerages in the world. I did a quick Google of the company name, and I'm like, holy cow, this is big. We ended up building a policy check solution with their guidance and their understanding of the insurance marketplace. And 3.5 years later, we're one of the, in my opinion, foremost players when it comes to policy check and submission intake and triage for the broker and carrier market. And we've changed our name. Obviously, we're now called Chisel AI.
Right. Why did you come up with Chisel?
I wish I could say it was me. We knew we needed a new name, so we actually went to a consulting agency that does naming for some of the biggest Hollywood films.
Really?
And I can't really name any of the films,
Sure.
but it's a big name that you'll see in many movies pop up. And so they gave us a list of 20 names, and they said, typically, statistically speaking, it's one of the first 20 names that we suggest. And I read the 20 names, and Chisel was in it, but I didn't like it. So then they did another 20 names and another 20 names. Long story short, we saw 119 names over a period of 4 months. And then I told him that it was Chisel. And he was so frustrated. And I can tell because he knew it was going to be one of the first 20.
Right.
And I kept saying, no, give me more, give me more, give me more. And it was an interesting process. The reason we decided on Chisel is because what we do is we take unstructured data and make it structured. If you think about taking a large piece of marble,
and visually I can see it,
and chiseling it down until it's something beautiful. So I like to think of us as making your data beautiful. It's not our official slogan, but it's something that I think a lot of people relate to.
Okay, so we do that, and then tell me how you're reaching agents. How did you start reaching agents and brokers? Because, as BriteBee as well, like as an agent myself, sometimes that makes it a little bit easier for me to get in the door and talk to someone, but it still is not easy. So how have you guys, what's the struggle, and how have you guys been able to break through that barrier?
Yeah, I think we switched our strategy. So the beginning strategy was all outbound. I was picking up the phone. We had a team of internal salespeople whose job was email, call, no joke, 100 people a day.
Yep.
Every day. And it was a big, energy-intense process.
Yeah.
About a year ago when we hired our new director of marketing, she's done a great job of, first of all, rebuilding the website to make it more inbound. We now have a blog, so every single week or every single 2 weeks we put out thought leadership. Great. We do a monthly podcast similar to this to educate people. We will try and do a webinar once a quarter. And so we're turning from being an outbound marketing process to an inbound marketing process, and we found that's really moved the needle for us because it's not about the product. It's about providing advice to the agents.
Right.
And so
value.
So when they go on and they read our blog posts and they see, yes, we really do understand what it means to be an agent, what it means to work with policyholders, how we service them, how we deliver. Once they have confidence that we know their business, then I think that's a good place to start the relationship rather than, hey, would you like to buy our software?
Sure. And I think all agents can learn from this as well of how creating value for your potential prospects is so important.
That's right.
No matter if you're a startup insurance agency, you're a huge agency or brokerage, everyone can learn from this. And I say all the time that insurance agents in general and carriers, I believe, should start functioning more like a startup. How do we create content that breaks down those barriers, right? That's
right.
what you guys are doing.
Yep.
And it's value that breaks down those barriers. It's not always the call. Now, the calls are definitely important. Like, it's good to go through those things.
Of course.
Because you learn so much. And I think everyone should be doing that. We do that. And definitely it's frustrating and everything else that comes with it. But in the end, we know that these things are extremely important. So, awesome. Well, thanks for being on.
Thank you for having me.
I hope that insurance agents will definitely take advantage. Hopefully, we'll get you some inbound traffic here.
Thank you.
So that's always good. And make sure to subscribe to this channel. Also, give us a thumbs up and give us a comment. If you have any questions about Chisel, we'll definitely get those to Ron and get your questions answered. So, again, thanks. We're at ITC. Hope you guys have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.